I want to share with everyone something that Donald said about his opponents, specifically Republican presidential candidate Rick Perry. Listen to this.
You know, one of the things that I'm most honored about is that so far everybody that's attacked me has gone down the tubes. You have Perry attacked me. Now he's getting out of the race. He was at 4 or 5%. Now he's getting out of the race. He was at 0.
Well, Governor Perry is here with me right now to respond to this. Governor, welcome. It's good to see you again. Good to have you back on the program.
How are you? Yeah,
I'm very
good.
Okay, you got Donald Trump saying the reason why you're at 0, as he's saying, those are his words, is because you went after him. Your response?
Well, I'll suggest to you that going after Donald Trump may be not over with yet, but you know, here's the facts. We've got a snapshot in time of what the polls are right now. In 2007, for almost a year, Rudy Giuliani led in those polls, and by the time South Carolina got through voting, he wasn't a viable candidate. So a snapshot in time is where we are right now. There's 17 legitimate candidates that are going to talk about the issues, and casting aspersion and what have you is one way to do that. But I'm more interested in talking about the issues that are important. Nobody was involved with securing this border more than I was back over the course of the last 7 years.
You certainly saw it up close and center there, being the governor of Texas. But back to him signing this pledge, saying that he will not run as an independent. Does that help the party overall? And does it perhaps in some ways solidify him among some Republicans?
You know, I don't know whether it helps the party or not. It helps him, I think, because people are looking for somebody that will be consistent. And if you're going to run as a Republican, you need to be consistent with conservative values. And for me, signing that was about the easiest thing that I've done in a long time. That's the team I want to play for.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this was a PR stunt then, in his view? I mean, what was this about? It was easy for you, not so easy for him.
You'll have to ask him whether it was a public relations stunt or not. I quietly signed it and went on about my business.
But you kind of had to sign it too, right? I mean, you can't get on the ballot in South Carolina unless you sign it.
I don't know. Did Donald Trump have to sign it?
He probably did.
I don't think he likes to say that he has to do anything.
Twisted his arm into signing it.
Yeah, I bet so.
Let's talk some more about your campaign. You are struggling. You don't have staff in New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, some of these places where you really need to be right now. You've had to make reductions. A lot of this comes down to money. How important is it for a candidate in your state right now to be able to rally folks and get some momentum so that you have the wherewithal, the finances to continue?
Well, obviously, money is important. If you don't have any, you're not going to be able to stay around very long. But the fact is, I've been broke before. I've been broke as a dryland cotton farmer, and I've been broke as the governor of Texas back in 2003. We had a $10 billion budget shortfall. You just cut back and you make the reductions that you need to. It'd be a good thing for Washington to learn how to do that. We need somebody that's had the experience of dealing with cutting back budgets, and as the 12th largest economy in the world, as the chief executive of that state, that inarguably and unquestionably one of the most successful economies in the world over the last decade. I know how to do that. So
Governor Perry, knowing that you know how to do that, in terms of your overall plan, at what point do you say, okay, I need to achieve this amount of momentum in order for me to stay in this? And if so, what is the next big thing that you think is going to propel you to higher levels of voter excitement? Well,
in this climate right now, I don't know. And I think anybody that says they know how this political climate is going to turn out is pretty good at crystal ball. I think we're all probably test pilots at this particular point in time, if you want to know the truth of the matter.
So as you see it right now, immigration is a pretty important issue, something that you say you are very experienced in. How do you fight up against a guy like Donald Trump, or fight back against a guy like Donald Trump, who's out there taking some swipes at you, saying you didn't handle it well in Texas, and one of the reasons we have so many illegals in this country is because of your ineptitude when it came to controlling that border in Texas?
Well, I don't think you fight back on it. I just think you talk logically and you tell the truth. And the truth is it's the federal government's responsibility. And for anyone to stand up and say that a state has failed at that, when the fact is we sent our National Guard when the federal government failed to. We sent our Texas Ranger recon teams. We sent our Parks and Wildlife wardens. And we saw a 74% decrease in the number of apprehensions. That's not a failure. That is filling the gap when the federal government has failed. The bigger question for me is, how are you going to secure the border? And is the rhetoric, I'm just going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it, really, is that going to stand up to scrutiny? There are literally miles and miles. I mean, it's 1,200 miles of Texas, and the bulk of that is private property. Is Mr. Trump going to say, you know what, we're just going to take that private property away from you, Texas landowner, and we're going to build a wall there? Now, he's for the Kelo decision that basically says government can take your private property away from you so a developer can enrich themselves. I don't think that's going to play to the Tea Party crowd. I don't think that's going to play to the private property crowd.
It's playing right
when you
now.
Get past the
so why is it playing?
But it's partly playing because you're not asking the question. You're not digging in and saying, explain to me exactly how you're going to build a wall. How long is it going to take to build? Where are you going to build it? Who's going to pay for it? How much is it going to cost? And by the way, how are you going to make the Mexicans pay for it? All of those questions really are out there that nobody seems to be wanting to ask. They just enjoy
let me jump to
the
hedge
rhetoric.
funds with you. You know, finances, we were just talking about, extremely important. You get Donald Trump saying, hey, look, I don't need anybody's money. That's part of the beauty of all this. I don't need to be beholden to anyone. A lot of politicians are beholden to hedge funds because they help to bankroll some of these campaigns. Where do you stand on the issue of taxing investment as income when it comes to some of these high rollers?
Well, I think you have a fair tax process in this country. Lower the corporate tax rate. I think just going after one set of people is a little bit, again, that's just rhetoric. We need to have a simplistic
I want to jump in, though, because, you know, you got the Bill Ackmans of the world, and frankly, Carl Icahn, although he would argue that he thinks that he should be taxed. I've spoken to him about this. But you got the Bill Ackmans, Carl Icahns, et cetera, of the world, making billions of dollars off of an investment. And instead of getting hit with normal income tax and having to fork over, 39% of it to the federal government, they basically have to pay roughly 20%. And so they're getting a great
I obviously believe that is a
deal.
system. That is not a fair system. We need to have a fair tax system where people are taxed pretty much across the board.
So you would tax them, their investment as income?
Simpler. What I would do is I would have a rework of our tax system where that you have a system that simplifies the system. You spread it out. You lower the rates. I'd go back to more of the 1986 model that Ronald Reagan had in place.
Would you allow those hedge fund guys, those billionaires, to be able to count their income, their investment as income?
I would go back to the 1986 model is what I'm telling you. If they allowed that in 1986, then somehow or another our economy seemed to do pretty well under that system.
All right. Thank you very much, Governor Perry. I want to bring back
You're
our
welcome.
entire